Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this afternoon we are back on the facts wagon, and the government has failed again to meet its promise to the electorate to eliminate VAT. A promise, a solemn promise made to the people of St. Lucia several times. The reduction and the gradual and the elimination of VAT. So we are here today to do the normal piecemeal. The last time you were here, we had a waiver of VAT on educational supplies. Now we are here with another waiver. All because the government has failed in its promise to the electorate of the country to eliminate VAT as they said, and I will be holding the government to account for its failure to eliminate VAT. This government's term of office will come to an end constitutionally by August, September 2021, and they have not eliminated VAT, a promise that they made to the people of this country. But we are here this afternoon with another piecemeal measure. But, Mr. Speaker, I will not comment on the first part of the motion. I will not comment on it. But I will comment, if you allow me to, Mr. Speaker, to comment on sections D and E. Mr. Speaker, we are being called upon to forego revenue on a contract agreement between the St. Lucia Air and Seaport Authority and the Overseas Engineering Construction Company, OECC, for the Uno International Airport Redevelopment Project. The Minister of Finance, he stated the sum of the cost of the waiver for all the other items. He said for item number E, it would cost $42 million. But he never said the cost of the waiver for item number D. He did not say how much would the waiver of VAT cost for item number D. But, Mr. Speaker, what is even more striking is that, and I hold no issue with the company. I know nothing about them. And the competence, I am not questioning the competence. But the point is, Mr. Speaker, the public of St. Lucia, and I stress the word public, will have a debt of excess of $600 million for an airport redevelopment program, a choice of the government's choice. And the public does not know how the contractor was chosen. We have no idea. We've never seen any tender document for how the contractor was chosen. So I have to take the word of the government that the contractor was chosen in an open and transparent manner. This government, through their own deliberate choice, decided that they would borrow money to build the airport. But they could not at least put up for public tender for the contractor to build the airport. How do I know that another contractor could not have built the airport at a cheaper price? In the arrangement that Barbados just entered last week, they listed the contractors who tendered for the construction of the airport. But in St. Lucia, we have to take the faith of the government, believe in the government, that they just choose a contractor. Again, I'm not questioning the competence of the contractor. I don't know who the contractor is. I have a responsibility to the taxpayers of the country for the government to account on how the contractor was chosen. I do not know what is the value of that exemption. Because I was told the value of the exemption for all the other items except the airport. But we've appointed a contractor. Mr. Speaker, that cannot be right. It cannot be right that apart from inflicting that debt on the people of St. Lucia, we now are causing a loss of revenue. And if you have to go by the government's estimate, $600 million at the airport, 12.5% of that. We are waiving that. I'm not even entering the merits or the demerits of the waiver. I am saying to you that we have absolutely no evidence. We have no evidence on how the contractor was chosen. So I'm left to speculate on how the contractor was chosen, because the government has never told the people of St. Lucia how the contractor was chosen. On item number E, Mr. Speaker, local contractors before have built roads under design finance bill contracts. They've never had a waiver of that. Again, I do not know how the contractor was chosen for the road maintenance program. I saw no tender. I have no idea how it was chosen. I have no idea how the subcontractors were chosen. The Prime Minister comes and says that subcontractors were chosen for 3 already have been chosen, or 5, or whatever he said, and 20 will be chosen sometime next year, 2021, or whatever he says. Who are they? How were they chosen? Did they tender? Was it the lowest tender? Could another contractor do it for the same price? What roads are these contractors building? What roads are they building? Where are the roads? Well, we just have to take the word of the government. I mean, and he says $42 million, Mr. Speaker. The money, taxpayers' money, and we think it's a joke. Taxpayers' money, $42 million worth of debt. And we have absolutely no idea how these contractors were chosen. No idea. Must I just listen to the word of the government? Just take their word for it? I can't. And the people of Indonesia should not. This government, from the inception in 2016, April 2016, in that budget of promises, they've made the point that there's going to be rehabilitation of roads. The government did not have the time to at least tender for these roads, so the public of St. Lucia would know that the government is fixing X roads, that length of road, at that cost. But we just have to, I mean, not even, this government promised to run the country as a business. Not even a business will run like that. This is not anybody's backyard or anybody's private concern, that you take $42 million and you waive that, and you say, and I have no idea how you chose the contractors for that project, Mr. Speaker. And a lot more will be said on these contractors and these projects, but this is not the right place to say it, Mr. Speaker. Because there's got to be a lot more transparency in the use of government money. This money doesn't belong to any of us inside of here. $42 million US, and we have no idea. We just have to take the word that you sat in a cabinet and you decided on X contractor, and I must take your word for it. This can't be right. It can't be right, Mr. Speaker. But this government believes. They believe. So the objective is, you will tell people that I fix the roads for you. But how do the people know that these roads could not have been built at a more affordable cost? How do the people know that they are getting value for money? Mr. Speaker, but Mr. Speaker, this government, they take no blame for anything. They live in a world of fantasy and in a world of praising themselves. Self-fulfilled prophecy. Anytime you bring to the government something that's wrong, they tell you, you did it too. That is the only excuse. So they bring an example in their own minds that you did it too. But the people of St. Lucia wanted a change. They wanted to stop the wrong things that they thought that the Labour Party was doing. And we have admitted, we have taken our place in the opposition. But you cannot commit these sins and fall back. You did it too. You did it too. You were there and you did it too. The point
Mr.
is,
Speaker, on a slight point
there
of
are
order.
$42 million worth.
Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
$42 million.
He has indicated that he's standing up point of order.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, on a slight point of order. Standing Order 35-1.
Honorable Member.
Yes. Mr. Speaker, I think that the member continuously violates Standing Order 35-1, where it states that we must confine our debate to the contents that is being discussed. I think what we're discussing here is whether he's in favor or not in favor of removing VAT for the construction of the airport. And that's what it is. These are the comments here. Is he going to discuss VAT and funerals? Is he going to discuss VAT and the reconnection of electricity bills? That's what we're talking about. We've exhausted the discussion on debt for the airport, and I think he's abusing the latitude of the House. We've been very cooperative, but I think in the interest of time.
Honorable Member. Leader of the Opposition. Yes, sir. I've given you some. You could stand. I have given you some latitude, but I will continue.
Mr. Speaker, we are speaking about waiver of VAT for the airport and for the construction of roads. And I'm saying to this honorable House that I do not know how the government chose the contractors to build the roads. That's all I'm saying. I do not know how. And I'm saying I'm not sure whether we could have waived less VAT or more VAT. And I'm saying that the government had enough time to put to tender for the construction of these roads. Mr. Speaker, I will not be intimidated by people who want me to keep quiet on issues that the people of St. Lucia elected me to deal with, Mr. Speaker. And they want to hear me because they are the ones who will pay the money. None of us inside here will be alive when these debts are going to be paid. None of us. But we sit and we behave as if we sit here and we behave as if it is our money. None of us will be here. None of us. You understand? We sit here and we pretend and we laugh because the taxpayers of this country are not laughing. They are the ones who are going to pay these debts. Not you. Or not me. We're going to pay it. And you don't want us to make you refuse to at least listen and take into consideration what we're saying as it relates to this non-tendering for these jobs, Mr. Speaker. And I will insist that this government is going wrong. And I cannot trust the judgment in these things. I do not know whether they are choosing the right contractors. I do not know whether we are getting the value for money. I would have known if there was an open tender. I would have known if tenders were open and people would have been allowed to bid and a contractor would have been chosen. I would have been more comfortable, Mr. Speaker. So I'm not comfortable. Further, Mr. Speaker, I want to know, in the construction of the airports, what is in there for the local suppliers of goods and services?
Now, Mr. Leader of the Opposition, you're going out to the confines that have...
Mr. Speaker, in the case of Schedule 3, to exempt imported goods and services for the road improvement...
Yes, I accept that, and I read that. But now I think to start questioning how the local suppliers, and will be. No, I think you're going beyond it now.
Even though it says important, Mr. Speaker?
I don't have an issue with what is written. What's written is what's written. I'm saying the tangent now you go in. That's what I'm saying. Continue.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. I will listen, although I will listen to your directives, and I hope other people listen also, because in this house, all of us are supposed to be equal. The majority is supposed to listen to the speaker the same way as the minority is. So I hope when you make these rulings, the majority listens. But Mr. Speaker, I do not trust the government to have that level of expenditure without tendering. I believe that if you're going to waive that, now it will be purely nearly about $1 billion when you work it out. And we are just being called to just listen to the government, contractors chosen in cabinet, contractors chosen anyhow. 5 contractors, five local contractors. Who are they? No one knows. 20 more. Who are they? No one knows. Considering the history of how these contracts have been given in the last 2.5 years. So, Mr. Speaker, I still await the government's elimination of VAT. I await it. I await the government's promise to eliminate VAT. And unless the government eliminates VAT, the government has failed the people of St. Lucia. They failed them because they made a solemn promise, and that promise has not been delivered to the people of St. Lucia. So, Mr. Speaker, I cannot, in all good judgment, sit in this honorable house and allow this government to put the country in that level of debt for an airport and roads maintenance without the people of St. Lucia having any say in how the contractors were chosen. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.